Hefty jail terms for escaping prisoners, and the US and EU discuss major trade agreement. Good day to you. Two men convicted of murder for the death of their co-accused in a shootout with police in 2011 have been handed a 40-year jail term each for this and other crimes. The presiding judge, Shiloh Ngezi, sentenced the two men after finding them guilty of murder, attempted murder, escaping from police custody and shooting at officers as they escaped from the High Court sitting in Bizana. The two men, together with their co-accused who died during their escape, disarmed and shot two police officers. A shootout then ensued with police, and one of the men was killed. The two have been convicted of his murder under the common purpose doctrine. The judge explains.
On count one, that of murder, you are sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. On count number two, that of attempted murder, where you shot at police, you are sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. On count number three, that of murder, you are sentenced to 10 years imprisonment again. Effectively, you have to serve 35 years. Count number four, that of attempted murder, was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. Escaping from lawful custody, you are sentenced to 5 years imprisonment. After that 35 years, you have to serve 5 years in addition.
The public have been invited to make submissions on the proposed ban on Sunday liquor sales in Gauteng. The province's Economic Development Department says the proposed new regulations are not meant to limit economic activity related to liquor trade. This follows outrage by consumers and traders over the proposed Sunday ban. Department spokesperson Pindile Kuneni.
We urge and we encourage the public to participate in the public consultation process and make their views known. The department will consider these views seriously, and we do believe that we must strike a balance between the pressing need to sustain and create employment in the province, which is very important, but also the imperative to ensure that we trade liquor responsibly.
Submissions on the matter can be made by phone at 011 085 2538 or by emailing pindile.kunene@gauteng.gov.za. The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa says Eskom's proposed 16% tariff hike will wipe out 37% of small and medium-sized companies. NUMSA's General Secretary Irvin Jim says the electricity hike will spell disaster. He was speaking on the sidelines of a meeting between business and unions regarding Eskom's proposals. Hung Langenhoven from the Steel and Engineering Industries Federation agreed with Jim. He says the increases will be fatal for the sector, as there are quite a number of smaller companies on the brink of closing down. The director of the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers of SA, Nico Vermeulen, says the increase would reduce South Africa's future economic growth. The South African National Defence Forces dismissed criticism of the deployment of soldiers in the Central African Republic. Last month, President Jacob Zuma authorized the deployment of 400 additional SA troops to that country to help quell political unrest. About 200 South African troops had already been deployed. Since then, the rebels in the Central African Republic have reached a ceasefire agreement with the government. SANDF Chief General Sali Shoke.
I think that criticism is unfair and is misplaced. I would like to appeal to South Africans that when it comes to issues of national security, we should put aside our political interests and look at the interests of the country and its people. We had soldiers on the ground there. We went in there to protect our equipment and our people.
The US and the European Union say they're starting discussions about a comprehensive trade and investment agreement that would create the world's largest trading bloc. The BBC's Andrew Walker reports.
The aim of the talks would be to reduce or even remove barriers to transatlantic trade and investment. Tariffs, taxes that are applied to imported goods, will be one target for the negotiations. But the two sides want to go further and tackle regulatory and other barriers that make international commerce more difficult. The enthusiasm for a bilateral deal reflects the fact that global negotiations in the World Trade Organization are making little progress. The transatlantic talks are expected to start by the end of June and would take several years to complete.
The top story: two men convicted of murder for the death of their co-accused in a shootout with police in 2011 have been handed a 40-year jail term each for this and other crimes.